Hello, I'm Travis Shaddox. I'm the Market Manager for the Turf and Landscape Division of Harrells, and I'm here with you today on another video to discuss particle distribution as it relates and influences the distribution of pre-emergent herbicides on those particles. So first, let me show you the proper distribution of these particles with pre-emergent herbicides as we've been doing for many years. This is what the square foot of turf will look like whenever we consider it to be an adequate distribution of particles. So I'll first use the regular size 15015 sparged with any pre-emergent you want to. In this particular case, I'm going to use Barricade, and this rate will be a 300-pound spread rate. So we'll, again, try my best to evenly distribute this in a square foot. This is the distribution that you will find. Even though there's a lot of spaces in this square foot, we've, over the years and over the decades, have found that this is more than adequate to provide sufficient coverage and sufficient pre-emergent and sufficient control of weeds. So this is what I'm going to consider the benchmark or the standard, whereby we feel confident relaying to you that you're going to receive adequate pre-emergent weed control. Now let's look at what occurs if you reduce that application by half. So instead of applying 300 pounds per acre, you're actually applying 150 pounds per acre. Keep in mind, the lowest labeled rate for any of the pre-emergents that we carry is 50 pounds per acre. But the lowest common application rate is generally around 150. All right? We're not here to say it doesn't work or anything like that. We're just simply going to show you the risk involved as you lower that rate down. So let's apply the same exact blend as we just applied. However, we're applying it 150 pounds instead of 300. So here we have the same blend applied at half the rate of the previous blend. And you can see clearly that you're applying half as much product. You have twice as many void spaces as you did in the previous application. So you have to envision, in this case, each one of these particles contains a small portion of the pre-emergent chemical. And it has to come in contact with a seed that is very, very small, and it's emerging through the soil. If that weed seed emerges in a location on this grid that does not contain a granule, you have increased odds of that weed seed germinating and creating a weed. So this is the risk involved. It's not to say you won't receive adequate weed control. It's not to say you shouldn't do it. It's just simply to show you that you're increasing your odds of having a breakthrough in weed control as you decrease your spread rate. Okay, so what can we do in situations where 150-pound spread rate is something that you like and something you don't want to move away from, but yet you're still concerned about pre-emergent weed control? What we can do is change the particle size. This is a very common practice in sport turf, where you're dealing with very closely mowed turf on the outfield or even on the infield. You're cutting it less than half an inch, and they use minis. And these minis have many more particles per pound than the regular products do. So let's look at what happens when we take, again, the exact same analysis, the same blend as what you just saw, and change that to a mini-sized particle, and let's look at the distribution of particles in that case. Okay, so now we'll spread out, again, the same blend, the same 15015, but in this case, we've changed the particle size to a mini-sized particle. Okay, with the previous blend of a regular sized particle, the fertilizer particle counts per square foot was around 100. In this case, when we reduce the size, the particles per square foot increases to around 1,000. So just simply by decreasing the particles, we've increased our particles per square foot by almost 10x. And in so doing, we've increased the likelihood of maintaining weed control. To wrap this up, what is the message here? The message is, as you decrease the spread rate, you increase your likelihood of breakthrough with weeds. So if you're happy with the 150-pound spread rate or 200-pound spread rate, whatever you happen to be using, and you have adequate weed control, then just keep doing what you're doing. However, if you've lowered that rate down to get more yards from your round or whatever the case might be, and you're seeing breakthrough or you're having issues with weed control, then you either need to increase that spread rate or change the particle size of the fertilizer you're using. Both those options will give you greater uniform distribution of the fertilizer and in turn give you greater distribution of the pre-emergent on that fertilizer.